Gopala Astrology channel, where the science meets astrology for common man's understanding. Subscribe and stay tuned to this channel for continued astrological updates. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Gopala Astrology channel. Today I'm going to make a video about a very interesting topic about the separation or divorces that happens amongst the couples. Many of the couples come to me for consultation. I do their career consultation, I do their marriage consultation, and so on and so forth. In the last 25 years, whatever I have gathered, I thought I will make a video of that so that it becomes a database for people to view on the YouTube, and then try to understand what are the common problems that can happen in the marriage, and astrologically, especially using Vedic astrology concepts, how we can mitigate those problems. Okay, first of all, you need to understand the problems. Only then we are able to rectify those if possible. All right, so it's going to be an interesting video. Stick on to this video until the end. I have made it in separate sections. It's going to be a long video, and you can always watch it in your own free time. Please do not forget to subscribe and hit the like button. Thanks. So let's go to the actual video and try to understand technically, as per Vedic astrology, how the marriage problems are going to happen, and if at all there is a separation that can happen from the spouse, what are the factors, what planets are involved, and what are the houses in astrology that are involved, and if at all we understand them, can we really mitigate them with some kind of remedies. Okay, I'm going to cover these topics, A, B, C, D, E, F, 6 of them, and it is split into different sections. You can always view them section wise in your own free time. Okay, it's going to be a longer video anyway. Sorry about that. I have to be detailed. All right, the first topic is going to be about the planets and houses that are responsible for divorce in astrology. How do we understand this? There are certain planets, we call them as malefics. Specifically, they are the Mars, Rahu, which is the north node of the moon, Saturn, and then Sun. Sun is not really categorized as a malefic planet, but still we do consider it as a Kura Graha, which is going to play a very vital role in the horoscope, especially when there is a consideration that has to be done for the divorce. I'm going to explain that in a specific way. Take, for example, Venus. Venus is the beauty, the planet of beauty, and the juice of happiness of marriage is actually seen through Venus. And unfortunately, in some of my clients' horoscopes, I have seen this, that happens when the Venus comes in close combustion. We call it as a close conjunction with Sun. We call it as the Venus is getting combusted. So within 3 degrees, I have seen this more seriously compared to, let us say, there is a 20-degree apart angle between Venus and Sun. The impact may not be that great. They may be quarreling and there will be misunderstanding between the couple, but the real dissolution of marriage doesn't happen. But I have seen that personally, whenever the Venus comes within 3 degrees of Sun, it's going to burn out the juice of marriage. The people will lose interest in the marriage. The couple will apply for legal separation. I have seen that happening. Okay, the other cases, in the case of man, Venus is considered as the wife. In the case of women, Jupiter is considered as the husband. That's how we normally analyze the horoscopes. So in the female's horoscope, if the Jupiter is not well placed, there will be disharmony between the husband and wife, and she will have problems with the husband. All right, so this is the first factor that we need to consider: the separative tendency planets, where they are placed, and can act as a divorce agent in the horoscope. All right, more so what I have seen is combustion of planet Venus. All right, so some other important aspects we need to cover here is the combination of or interaction of 12th house, 4th house, 7th house, and the 8th house. I'm going to explain each of them separately now. These 4 houses are very important to have the longevity of the marriage. If these houses are afflicted and the lords are inappropriately placed, it's going to really cause problem in the marriage. And I'm going to today introduce another term, technical term called Upapada Lagna or UL. Okay, and we have to see how to make the Upapada Lagna. I'm going to explain that, as well as the stability of that Upapada Lagna Lord and the second house from the Upapada Lagna. So if at all a Shubha Graha or a good planet is placed in the second house from Upapada Lagna, I have seen that the longevity of the marriage is going to be there, irrespective of any other placements. It's a very powerful tool that I'm going to explain today later on. All right, let's consider some more explanations about those four houses which I just mentioned. Fourth house is literally the happiness that we see. Okay, the fourth lord and the fourth house is extremely important in our present life. Wherever the fourth house lord is sitting, we are going to seek the happiness in that particular placement. For example, if the fourth lord is going to sit in the fifth house, for example, our happiness will be seen through children. If the fourth lord is sitting in the second house, for example, we seek the happiness through family. Okay, and if the fourth lord is placed in the 10th house, for example, I'm just taking a hypothetical example of Aries Lagna or the Aries ascendant. For that, the 10th house is Capricorn. And if the fourth lord goes and sits in the 10th house, the person is going to seek happiness from his job, okay, profession. And now imagine the fourth lord is afflicted, okay, and it's really bad. It can even result in divorces, okay, because there is no happiness after marriage. It's very important to understand. And the next aspect you have to see is the seventh house of marriage itself. Okay, so if the lord of this seventh house, okay, in this case is Libra, the owner is Venus. If really Venus is afflicted, okay, the marriage will not carry on for long term. Okay, it's very important unless there is a benefic aspect of Jupiter or Venus on this seventh house. Really, we are going to have problems in marriage. Okay, and then the next house I told you is about the eighth house. Eighth house and the 12th house I have put together in one slide here. The reason is the eighth house is extremely strong as it is the gain of seventh house. See, there is something called Bhavat Bhavam effect. So whatever the house which is there is the second to that house, we call it as the gain of that house. All right. So the gain of seventh house is eighth house. If there are malefic planets placed in this one, there will be some kind of an extramarital affairs that can be happening in the person's chart, and the women is going to know about it, and the marriage dissolution happens. I have seen this in many cases personally. All right. So that's the problem. Now, the 12th house is also known as the bed pleasure. Okay, whatever happens in the marriage, the real pleasure that is seen always can be viewed in the 12th house and the placement of the 12th lord. If the 12th lord is really not well placed, there will be poor sexual life, and then the husband and wife lose interest in each other, and this can also result in dissolution of marriage. All right, so 8th house and 12th house has to be seriously studied if there are malefics in it or how they are placed. All right, now let's come to that new topic about Upapada Lagna. What is this Upapada Lagna? Actually, it's also known as Arudapada. Aruda is something like a shadow, right? Shadow of the 12th house. I will take an example so that you will understand. For a change, let me push from Aries to Taurus. Okay, let's take a Taurus Lagna or the Taurus Ascendant. Okay, always go to the 12th house from the Lagna or the Ascendant. Here, the 12th house is Aries. The Lord of 12th house is Mars. It is placed, let's put Mars in Cancer. Okay, so if you count from the 12th house, the Mars is placed exactly at 4th place from it. Okay, from the 12th house, which is Aries, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, and 4. So, same 4 houses has to be counted from the position of the Mars itself. That means I'm going to count 4 houses from Mars. This is the first house, second house, third house, and fourth house. So here, in this case, Libra becomes the Upapada Lagna for this horoscope. All right, this is very, very important. And we have to study the position of Venus, because the ruler of Libra is Venus, and we have to study where exactly the Venus is placed in this horoscope. Based on that, the quality of relationship can be understood. And also, one more point is, if there are benefits that are placed in the second house from UPAPADA, LAGNA, let us say if there is a Jupiter here, or a Venus itself, or Mercury, or even Moon. Okay, when that is happening, then the stability of marriage is very, very good. So the position of Upapada Lagna Lord and the second house from the Upapada Lagna. These are two important aspects that I'm introducing to you guys. If you have questions, you can always type it in the comment section. I can make a separate video on Upapada Lagna itself. Okay, this is just an example. Please understand, it is just the Aruda Pada of the 12th house. So go to the Lagna or the ascendant, look into the 12th house. Who is the Lord of the 12th house? Where is he placed? He can be placed anywhere in these 12 boxes. I've just put it in Cancer. It becomes the 4th, and you just count 4th from the Mars itself. That becomes the Aruda Pada or the Upapada Lagna, which is going to determine the happiness of marriage. If there are bad planets in the second house, it can happen. It can result in the divorce. All right. Next one. See, these are all the possibilities, what I'm saying here. Now, let's really talk about the connection of 7th Lord and the 12th Lord here. And also, let's try to put it Rahu Ketu there. So, whenever you see this axis, okay, I'm not saying that divorce is certain, but the people will lose interest. There will be a lot of arguments between husband and wife. The first house represents ourselves, and the 7th house represents the spouse. So whenever the shadow planets Rahu, Ketu, either it can be anywhere, but more so when Rahu is in the first house, the Ketu goes to the 7th house, and the husband loses interest in the wife. It is mostly the midlife crisis. People hurriedly get married, they have a love marriage, everything, and then they come back to me consulting about the horoscope. What is going on? My husband doesn't listen to me, my wife doesn't listen to me. There's a lot of arguments. All that is possible when Rahu is in the first house, and then it aspects obviously the 7th house, and Ketu is there, and also the 12th Lord connection happens with Rahu, right? So this is very, very bad. 12th house is if there is any mutual aspect or conjunction of 7th Lord and the 12th Lord, okay, it's going to result in big problems in the marriage, okay, unless there is a Shubha Drishti, that means a good aspect of Jupiter or Venus on the 7th house. Really, the marriage cannot stabilize. All right, this is really, I've seen many examples of this. Okay, the 12th Lord and the 7th Lord. In this particular case, for example, the 12th Lord is Jupiter, and then the 7th Lord is Venus. And if they aspect each other, or if they exchange the houses, okay, Jupiter sits here and then Venus sits here, something like that happens, definitely there will be a problem. All right, watch out for that. And then the next combination is the presence of Sun in the 7th house. Sun is our ego. Okay, I always keep saying that Sun represents the engine of the horoscope. So wherever the Sun is placed, we have that ego there. And if it happens to unfortunately go and sit in the 7th house, okay, and more so, there are bad planets like Saturn, Rahu, and even Venus, for example, in the first house. Okay, so drishti of 7th house from the sun happens and falls on the lagna, and the person goes crazy. He and his wife cannot get along. Maybe he gets a very egoistic wife. Okay, and then there will be problems in marriage. All right, so this is one other combination. And one more thing I would like to say is the 6th house. 6th house is all about the court cases, litigations, anything about litigation. We have to see the 6th house. Please understand again the Bhavat Bhavam effect. The 12th Lord, 12th from any house will be the loss of that house. That means the loss of the marriage is divorce, and that is indicated in the 6th house. Okay, whenever the 6th and 7th house lords exchange their places, I have seen that we call it as Parivartana Yoga between the sixth lord and seventh lord, they are going to cause problems in marriage. All right. So definitely, we have to watch out for the sixth house and its lord. Okay. Sixth house, that's exactly what I was trying to say here. Loss of marriage is seen to the sixth because it's the 12th place from the seventh house of marriage. All right, so I would always see any malefics placed in the seventh house can cause a lot of problems, but really, the legal separation can happen when there is a parivartana between sixth and seventh lord, and even if they are conjunct in any other house, okay, it's going to cause problems. All right, there is something new I want to tell you here. We call it as Papa Kartari Yoga. So, for example, Sun is placed in the seventh house in this case, and then let's put two evil planets, either Rahu Ketu here in the sixth house and Saturn in the eighth house. So that means seventh house is actually hemmed. Here, there is a hemming happening between the two bad planets to the seventh house. So they are going to really pose problems for this seventh house, and it can also result in a lot of problems in the marriage. Okay, and please take a note that whenever the Venus goes to retrograde motion in the original horoscope, okay, and the eighth house is afflicted. Of course, the seventh lord, if it gets retrograde, the eighth house is afflicted with Rahu, Mars, Saturn, Sun, eighth house, because it's the gain of the seventh house. Definitely, the people get separated. Okay, there will be a lot of arguments in the marriage. It won't be a happy marriage at all. The next case here, the 12th lord is placed in the fourth house. Okay, we are establishing the connection between the 12th and the 4th. Okay, and then the 6th, 8th, all these combinations can really cause problems. That means the 7th lord, when it is afflicted with Rahu, definitely Rahu can cause much more amplification on the separation aspects between the husband and wife. All right, so please understand, place 12th lord always causes the loss. Okay, it should not be placed in the good house like fourth house, okay, which is not good. And again, it can be parivartana between the 12th house and the fourth house. Okay, I had made a video on the foreign travels, right? So it can become a separating factor between the husband and wife. Okay, for good, the husband is going to go to a foreign land because the quarrel has to stop somehow. The wife will stay back in the native land, and the husband may go to another country for making his living, and then eventually the husband and wife have to separately live in different countries. Okay, so eventually they may come back if there is Shubha Drishti of Jupiter or Venus, and then the dashas change. But eventually, after marriage, whenever there is a combination and affliction between 12th and 4th lords, the husband and wife will live separately in different places. Okay, take note of this point. And then the next one, the 7th house. Okay, let's talk about Navamsha Lagna here. What is a Navamsha Kundali? It is known as the D9 chart. That means we are going to literally split the Rashis into 9 portions, and then we are going to plot what is known as Navamsha Kundali. Okay, in the Navamsha Kundali, let's take 7th house from Navamsha Lagna. Okay, if there is Aries as the Navamsha Lagna, if you go to the D9 chart and see its ascendant, let us say the ascendant is Aries, and if there are malefics that are placed in the 7th from that, definitely there will be challenges for the marriage. Okay, because a lot of things can be seen about the spouse and the relationship of the spouse through the D9 chart. So in the D9 chart, if there is a clear indication of an evil planet in the 7th house, it will cause much problems for the marriage to survive. Okay. Then again, the 7th house, again in the D9 chart, if the axis of Rahu Ketu comes in, and if Rahu is in the Lagna and then Ketu is in the 7th house, this can become a very strong indication of unhappy marriage. The spouses they don't match at all in any of the terms and conditions of the marriage. Okay, everybody talks in their own terms. Nobody comes into proper collaboration. So husband talks something, the wife talks something. Their ideas are always different, especially when Rahu Ketu comes into the 1-7 axis in the D9 chart. All right. Next, one more combination I would like to say here is about the eighth house itself in detail. Okay, eighth house can cause many, many, many problems. I told you what is the eighth house. It's the king of marriage. If there is Mars there in the female's chart, especially female's chart, we call it also as Mangal Dosh. I have already made a video on that. In Tamil, it is called Savvai Dosham. So when that happens, it can stop the longevity of the marriage. The person, I mean, if it is in this horoscope of a female, even the husband can die, because the eighth house represents longevity of the spouse as well. So the longevity of the spouse will get spoiled, because from here it sees the second house of marriage directly, family. So the family is afflicted with this Mars, and there will be not only the harmony problem, even the longevity of the husband comes into a picture here. Okay, so eighth house, if it is afflicted with Rahu or Saturn, it's going to really cause much problems. Okay, take note of this. And that's what is given here with Rahu Ketu there. Okay, let's get into the next topic here. This is talking about the timing. See, I have been mentioning about different combinations that is possible for the divorce to occur in one person's life. But now the question is the timing. Okay, when this can happen, when this event can be predicted to happen. So whenever there is a dasha, or see, dashas and antardashas are the time periods of various planets that comes in our horoscope. All right. So whenever there is a dasha of seventh lord itself, and any of those combinations which I mentioned just now happens, it will occur in the seventh lord dasha. Okay. And if it is even seventh lord, if it is very closely associated with sixth or eighth house, it is certainly going to happen. Okay. And then the divorce may also occur during the time period of the planet which afflicts the fourth house of happiness. Okay, and especially when it is also owning sixth and eighth house, sixth, eighth, or 12th house, any of these bad houses. Sixth, eighth, and 12th are called the bad houses in astrology. Okay, they are the ones which can cause a lot of problems and hindrances. How to understand this? Sixth is always the 12th from the 7th, so happiness of the marriage is seen very bad. Eighth is actually the 12th from the 9th house. 9th house is known as Bhagyasthanam, the lucky house. Okay, so it becomes the loss for the luck. That is why it is 8th house, and 12th house is the 12th from Lagna itself. That means it's a loss for the person itself. All right. The next one, divorce can happen very strongly whenever there is a dasha or antardasha of Rahu, Mars, or Saturn, especially if they are associated or the lords of 4th, 7th, or 12th house. Okay, it creates, any of these combination can create problems during the dashas and antardashas of this time. Okay, so this is about the timing, when it can happen. Okay, now let us see some of the positive points here. How to nowadays we have softwares which can plot the points very easily. You just need to key in the accurate date and time of birth information, and also the place of birth information of both husband and wife. Then it will automatically plot all the points. These are all the different combinations that is done during the matchmaking, and the total score, maximum points you can score, is about 36. And in this case, let us say this couple has scored 32.5. It's considered as the best. Okay, so Guna matching table is going to have a minimum score of 18 and above. Okay, if the marriage has to survive. If it is less than 18, there will be a lot of fights. There will be a lot of problems between husband and wife. Okay, it's very difficult for them to survive unless, again, I'm always quoting this, there is a Shubha Drishti or the good aspect of Jupiter or Venus on the seventh house of marriage. Okay, I just want to also mention, in addition to these guna match tables, there is another thing called kutas, other kutas like Rajju, Mahendra, Three Dirgha, and Veda. These are the four of them. In addition to these 36 points that I have been mentioning, in this, out of four, at least three should be favorable. Okay, especially the Rajju Kuta is extremely important. Okay, so if it is favorable, 3 out of 4 is passing, then the marriage will happen. So, in fact, statistically speaking, even till today, okay, there are 1.4 billion people in India. Okay, many of them, I'm saying, I don't know the percentage yet, definitely they go through the horoscope matchmaking concept, what I'm showing you on the screen. And that is why even today, if you see statistically, India has the lowest divorce rate in the world. Okay, so I don't know if they continue to convert themselves to westernized culture and they don't bother to see this, maybe they also will become like America. Okay, so please understand, whenever your son or daughter is getting married, please make a proper matchmaking. It's not just marriage is the most important step in one's life. You have to have a long lasting partner. We cannot keep changing partners. It's not like a car. You have a car today and then you want to change from car A to car B to car C. No, it's not like that. You need to have one spouse and we have to stay with him or her lifelong, and that's what is known as commitment in marriage. All right, so all that is to be done, and then unfortunately this is another combination here. The couple have only scored 14 out of 36 and they end up in divorce. All right, so let's come to the last section of the video. This is about there are so many remedies to talk about. I'm not going to list every one of them, but some of the key things what I thought I should show you, I'm going to explain to you. Okay, if there is really a troubled marriage that is going on and really they don't have that combination of total divorce, like what I told you, the Venus combust with Sun, if that is not there, they can always do some prayers. Every day they can light the ghee lamp. The ghee represents the fat, which is basically Jupiter. Okay, whenever we burn the ghee lamp, this is what I keep suggesting to most of my clients, to light the ghee lamp once the sun sets. Okay, whenever the sun is setting in the evening after 6:30, the influence of planet Jupiter becomes very strong on planet Earth. So we can always light the ghee lamp and pray for Guru Bhagavan or the Jupiter. All right, there are certain slokas. If anybody is really interested, they can always contact me. I can send them the shloka or the mantra for Guru Bhagavan. All right, that can save marriage really if it is done continuously for a long period of time, like 21 weeks. All right. So the next option that I would like to give here is about a homa or the havan. Okay, this is actually the holy pyre that is being put, and there are a lot of rituals that is being done, and this ritual is known as Swayamvara Parvati Homa. So Parvati is considered as the wife of Lord Shiva. It's the feminine energy of the universe, and in that name of the Parvati, if a homam or the holy pyre is lit and certain procedures are done, there is a belief in Indian Hindu culture that the marriage will sustain for a longer period of time. All right, so these are all the belief systems. Don't ask me the scientific proof for it. If there is a problem, do it, and if you see the success, please share your comments. All right, the next one I would like to always say is, just if you don't know what is going on, if you are in trouble, really go to a proper consultant astrologer who is really knowledgeable, who can give you proper guideline. Okay, and do not go to the commercial astrologers who just do it for sake of pleasing people and collecting money. Don't go to them. Always go to the proper learned person and try to consult them, find out what is going on in the chart, and they will suggest you the right remedy. Sometimes it can be through gemstones, it can be through certain prayers. All right, The next one, which you can very easily do, if at all you understand what is tulsi. Tulsi is the basil plant. Those who are watching this video from the West, please understand. Keep a basil plant in your backyard. It's going to bring in a lot of positive energy. In fact, why backyard? It can be put in the front of the house. In India, people put this in the front of the house actually, and they'll derive a lot of positivity in the house. Okay, there is always a saying that whenever the tulsi or the basil plant grows well in your garden, that means the house is having all positive things. There is no negativity in the house. In some houses, the tulsi or the basil plant doesn't grow, it just becomes darkish and it dries off. In such houses, definitely there are negative energies. Please, that is the first indication that we always see. That is why ancient Indians, they were always praying for tulsi every day. The modern women in India nowadays they have stopped it, but actually speaking, we should do the tulsi prayers every single day. And there is a slokam that needs to be chanted 108 times. I don't know if we'll have time for it, but still you can always listen to that. You can save this pronunciation in your cell phones, and you can always listen to it at least. Okay, so it goes like this: Om Shri Tulsiaya Vidmahi Vishnu Priyaya Dhimahi Tanno Vrinda Prachodayat. So if this slokam or the poem has to be chanted for 108 times, it will give you a lot of positivity in marriage. Okay, so with this, I have come to the end of this video. Thanks for watching this. Please subscribe to this channel if you are watching this for the first time. That gives me a lot of encouragement to make more and more knowledgeable videos. Thank you very much.